good evening, guys. Big welcome to all of you in today's Practice to Pass webinar on SBL for December 2025 attempt. This is Hasan Dossani in front of you, and I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry, my throat is not well today, so my voice might not be very loud. Um, So today is day number 1 of the webinar, and tomorrow same time we will have day number 2 of this webinar. So what will be our strategy? So today, day number 1, we will be covering um, a brief introduction to SBL. Then I will teach you all the formats which are involved in your paper. I will teach you all the 5 professional skills in detail. And the most important segment for tonight is exam techniques, because from next week we will be starting our past paper practice. So before that, you have to be very familiar with all the exam techniques so that we are able to apply those techniques during our practice classes. All right. And then tomorrow, day number 2, we will have a discussion with the global or a country prize winners to understand how they were able to score such high marks. Then I will cover the latest technical articles tomorrow. Then we will do one question practice so that you have an idea how to draft, how to link a question. And then I will share a list of important topics for December attempt. And finally, I will share the study plan for the last 3 weeks of November. So a very jam-packed session. In today's session, all my paid students are there. However, this session is like open for all. So a lot of self-study students are also there. So how to ask questions? So because of the large size of the group, almost touching 400 students as of now, verbal questions will not be possible, right? It will become a fish market. The only way you can ask question is that you can type your question in the chat box. And after every couple of slides, I will pause and I will take your questions. However, it is very important to maintain discipline during the session. So your question should only relate to the slide or the topic under discussion, because I cannot take irrelevant questions during the presentation, right? So for any other type of questions, we will have a detailed question and answer session at the end of today's session, right? So please, your question should only pertain to the slide or the topic under discussion. Thirdly, I want to request that no unnecessary questions on the chat box. I can still see now some unnecessary questions here. The chat box should only be used when I ask a question and you want to reply, or you have a specific query. Okay, no general questions. Otherwise, my chat box will become flooded and I will miss out on your questions. Okay, so please maintain discipline, especially the self-study students, because the paid students are well aware of these things. Right. So previous webinars. So for every attempt, I have conducted a webinar. This webinar is for December attempt. And 3 months back, I had conducted a webinar for September, and then June, and then March, and so forth. So a lot of students, they ask me, should we watch the previous webinars? My answer is yes. Why? For extra practice. All right. Because in each webinar, I have solved one question. For example, financial projection question, I have solved in September 2025 webinar day number 2. So if you want to learn financial projection question or topic, you can watch my September webinar day number 2. And then I have solved risk and recommendation question in my June 2025 webinar day number 2. And then the list goes on. So if you want to do some extra practice or understand some topic wise scenarios, this is the list of questions which I have solved in the last 8 to 10 webinars, and you can watch these webinars to do some extra practice. Is that clear? Good. So in the previous webinars, do not watch anything else. Do not watch anything else in the previous webinars because I will be covering everything today webinar. Only the question practice, the more variety you will do, more better your concepts will be. Okay. A very quick introduction of myself. Most of you already know me, so I will not spend a lot of time. I'm a chartered accountant, and by profession, I'm a chief financial officer, CFO of an insurance company in Dubai since last 15 years. So professionally, I work full time and teaching is my passion. I've been teaching for last 25 years and I just specialize in SBL because of my professional role, my seniority. I sit in the board. I'm better able to understand SBL and explain SBL with real life examples. But what is more important here is my WhatsApp number. This is my direct personal WhatsApp number. In case you have any questions, any doubts, you can always reach out to me. All right. Also, I manage couple of global SBL WhatsApp groups. If you are part of any of the global WhatsApp group by VIFHE, that's fine. Otherwise, this is the link. You can join this group. I just want to give a clap to all the high scorers of my September batch. It was a really good batch, highest being 83 marks by Emilia in Poland. She's also a country place winner. So these are some of the students, not all, some of the students who scored good marks, and this is a variety of countries: India, Pakistan, Europe, Malaysia. And in my September attempt, there were 3 students who got national prize winners. They were the highest scorer in their country. One is Emilia in Poland, and then Ender from Turkey, and then Gideon Takon in Uzbekistan. These 3 students of my previous batch. There might be one or two more, but we are not aware of it. But these are the 3 students who actually informed us about their prize winners. Now, SBL pass rate is pretty consistent, ranging from 50% to 53%. Previous 2 attempt, you can see the previous 2 attempt, it's 51%. And I think it's a very good pass rate comparing with other strategic professional papers. SBL has one of the highest or best pass rates globally. Now, this slide, SBL is very, very different. I have spoken about this slide many times, right? I just want to speak about a couple of things here. Um, this one is important. Knowledge of topics is less important. Application of knowledge is more important. Why I'm emphasizing on this is I've seen that a lot of students, they want to do all the chapters, they want to do all the syllabus, they want to do the entire study hub book. No need. It's not a general theoretical paper. Nothing from the book will come. It's actually the application of the knowledge which is important. So, just basic understanding of the important topics is more than enough because you have to apply your knowledge on the case study, right? No definitions or theoretical general answers are required. So you should not waste your limited precious time on books or chapters. You should invest your time in doing more and more practice because application is more important. And another important thing is this one: 50% of SBL paper is common sense, meaning that you don't require any bookish knowledge to solve these questions. You just require common sense, logical thinking, a lot of practice, and that's it. A lot of students, they fail because of this thing, right? Because common sense is not very common. So, but the fact of the matter is that more than 50% of your paper is common sense. So you have to think logically like a business leader, like a CFO. And of course, since you don't have relevant experience, then this can only improve through more and more practice and discussions and brainstorming, right? Now, this slide is very, very interesting. All my top scorers who score 80 marks, 90 marks, they have applied this strategy. And this strategy is very simple. When you are preparing for SBL, don't think like a student. Imagine yourself as a business leader or a senior executive or a CFO or a finance director. When you are doing SBL paper, don't think like a student. You have to upgrade your thought process. You have to look at the big picture. And that's only possible when you think like a business owner, right? All of you have that basic sense. Uh, it's just the way you start feeling and thinking. And when you are drafting your answer, don't think that you are explaining to the examiner. Imagine that you are explaining your point to the board of directors. Like I do it all the time in my real job. I sit in the board, I discuss issues in the board, I make presentations in the board. So just imagine that you are explaining your points to the board. Okay, so you use simple language, basic things, but professional language. All right. So this strategy, this approach actually differentiates the high scorers with low scorers in SBL. So since we have a lot of time and practice, I would suggest that you start imagining yourself as a business leader. Now, some of you will come up with a stupid question and say, sir, that we have never worked like a CFO. How can we imagine like a CFO? Why not? Why not? It's possible. If you can imagine yourself dating a nice, beautiful girl or a nice, handsome boy, if you can imagine yourself feeling rich and having a nice life. Why can't you imagine yourself as a CFO or a business leader? It's just a mind game. It's just the way you elevate or upgrade your confidence and the way you are thinking, right? So please try and adopt this strategy. It is really helpful. All right. Any questions so far? Can you please share the WhatsApp group link here? Okay. Divya, again, you're asking an irrelevant question. I will not be able to answer something which I have not covered in the slide. Maybe it will be covered in the future slides. Someone is asking for the link, the chat group link. Let me share it. I am sharing the group link on the chat box here. Here you go. All right. So I've shared the WhatsApp group link on the chat box. Yes, I will share all these slides, of course. Now, a little bit about your exam. So I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but just for the benefits of those students who are giving SBL for the first time. So your SBL paper, the format was changed in September 2023. It is called the pre-scene exam format. Huh? It was a major change back 2 years back. But the good news is there is no change in syllabus. So nothing change in the syllabus. Pre-scene case study will be published 2 weeks before the exam. In your case, let's say around 20th of November, ACCA will publish the case study. What is the meaning of this pre-scene? So pre-scene means that whatever scenario is going to be tested in your paper, the background of that company will be given to you 2 weeks before. It is like a 10 to 12 page document which will tell you which industry, it will provide you industry information, and then which company, it will provide you company information. So we will know 2 weeks in advance which industry and which company will be tested in our exam. Now, is that good news or bad news? What do you think, guys? If you know the pre-scene beforehand, that's definitely great news. It's definitely great news because there is no suspense. So before this format, we have no idea which industry will come. A lot of students, they were nervous. And now we exactly know which industry and which company will come. So we can prepare well in advance, right? We can discuss a lot of topics about that scenario. So there is no element of suspense. But then don't you think that if the if the pre-scene is published, then don't you think um, students can prepare their answers? What do you think? If the pre-scene is published, some smart students like you can prepare your answers, right? Not really. Why? Because the pre-scene will only provide you the background or the basic information. All right. But on your exam day, you will be given some additional information. So pre-scene is just the background or basic information. Some additional information relating to that company will be given to you on the exam day. These are called exhibits. And then all the tasks will be pertaining to those exhibits. So we don't know what additional information or problems or proposals will be given, right? But at least we know the basic background of the scenario. So on your exam day, 3 to 4 exhibits will be given to you, and 3 tasks will be given to you worth 100 marks. All right. Paper duration is 3 hours and 15 minutes. Okay. The pre-seen material will also be available on the exam day on the CBE platform. So the pre-seen, which was published 2 weeks before, will also be there in your CBE platform during your paper, so that you don't have to memorize everything. If you want to refer to the pre-seen for something, it is readily accessible on the CBE platform. And pre-seen material is same globally. So there is this misconception. The pre-seen material is same globally. There is only one scenario, one pre-seen. It is same, it is consistent globally. Only exhibits and tasks change according to various time zones. So the morning batch will get some exhibits and some tasks. The afternoon batch will get a different set of exhibits and different set of tasks. And the evening batches will get different exhibits and different tasks. But the pre-seen will always be the same. Okay. Let me take a quick look at the questions. Zaman, I will answer that going forward. So let's take a quick look at the CBE platform and your paper, just to get an idea. So do you guys know how to log in to your CBE platform? So first of all, you go to My ACCA. You will have to log into your My ACCA. Okay, when you sign up to your My ACCA, and then from there you can search for your CBE platform, ACCA CBE platform. This one, I will click this link and I will log in to the ACCA CBE platform. You can also directly use this link, but then first of all, you have to log into your My ACCA, and then from there you can navigate to your CBE platform. Once you go to the CBE platform, you will see some subjects here. So you will click on uh, browse available exams. Okay, you will click here, browse available exam, and then you select strategic business leader. Once you select strategic business leader, all the papers which are available on the CBE platform, can you see on my screen? So once you browse and select SBL, you will see all the past papers, specimen papers, practice exam, pre-mock exams here. So let me select SBL specimen exam 2 just to show you. So I will assign. So it says already assigned. Then I will go to view assignments, SBL. No, I don't want to do this one. I want to do another paper. I will assign this view assignment. I don't know why it's not appearing here, but okay. And I'll just start with this. Resume. No, this is not a good paper because there is no task here. So, okay, let's resume this one. So when you open your CBE platform, this is called the landing page. Okay, on the left side, you can see the landing page. Here, the name of the company will be given, your role will be given. This is very important. Your role will be mentioned in the landing page. Like, for example, here it says you are a senior business analyst. So this role is very important because in all the tasks, you will have to assume your role as senior business analyst, and then the list of exhibits are given. And then these four exhibits are given here. Number one is the fact sheet. Number two is the newspaper article, extract of team briefing, board meeting minutes. Then you will also see the pre-seen material. It is also there for quick reference. And then task number one is given. So when you click on task number one, it will give you all the tasks. And then here is your response option. Word processor, spreadsheet, and slides. Okay. The important thing here to note is that for SBL, we will be using word processor. We will not be using spreadsheet at all. Okay, guys? We will not be using any Excel spreadsheet. It is not a calculative paper. And in case there is some basic calculations required, you can do it on your calculator. Do not waste your time on spreadsheet. All your answers should be on the word processor, and we will also use slides. We will also use slides if the question specifically says prepare presentation slides. All right. If the question says prepare presentation slides, then for that question, you will use slides. Otherwise, for all the remaining tasks, we will use word processor. All right, guys. Any questions so far? Guys, can you please stop chatting amongst yourself? I'm repeating myself. Do not flood my chat box, okay? So if you see here, it's just task number one. Where is task number two? You have to press next. You see this button on the right bottom. When you press next, then task number two will come. And then again next, task number three will come. Okay. The tasks are not on the same page. You have to press next, next, next. What else is there? Yes, Mohammed. Abdulal, I just answered that it's one pre-scene for the entire paper. Okay, so I will talk about the slides little later, don't worry. But do you understand the overall layout? The landing page on the left is the extra exhibits which will be given to you on the exam day. The pre-scene will also be there for quick reference, and the tasks are there, and the response options are there. For rest of the questions, just be patient. I will cover them as we go along the presentation. All right, guys. So now why students fail SBL? So as per the examiner's report, there are some very common mistakes why students fail SBL. Again, I have discussed these slides many times in my various orientations, but I just want to touch upon some very common mistakes so that you don't repeat these mistakes. The first mistake, as per the examiner, is that the examiner says that the answers are not linked with the exhibit or the scenario. So, as I said in the start, SBL is a scenario based paper. Application of knowledge is more important. It doesn't require general definition or general theories. So it's very, very important that you, when you are drafting your thoughts, you have to discuss in light of the case study. How can you link? There is a very simple technique. It's very easy to link with the scenario. So when you are reading the exhibit, you just pick the relevant information or the relevant sentence from the exhibit. You copy it on your answer sheet and then elaborate on it. So each and every point should start with a statement of fact picked up from the exhibit. So once you have picked up a sentence from the exhibit, then you can easily elaborate on it and share your thoughts, right? So very simple technique that all your points should start with a statement of fact picked up from the exhibit. And then once we start doing more and more practice in our revision classes starting next week, you will understand more on this technique. The second most common reason why students fail SBL is bad time management. Students, they are not able to complete the paper. Okay. And even if they are able to complete the paper, the quality of the answers, especially the last 30 minutes, the quality really is very, very bad. Right? So time management is very, very important in SPL. It's all about speed and time management. You have to, you have to complete full 100 marks paper. Okay. Now in your previous attempt, like in September attempt, I came across few students who told me that they were able to complete the paper 30 minutes before time. Now that was very, very surprising for me because it is practically impossible to complete the entire paper 30 minutes before the time. I've never seen, even if I attempt the paper, I can barely complete 5 minutes before the time. But students, if they are able to complete 30 minutes before the time under exam stress situation, I'm pretty sure they have messed up, right? So time management is very, very important. Another reason is more than 50% questions are common sense questions. I mean, a lot of students, they struggle in common sense questions because they have read all the books, they have read all the chapters, they have memorized every goddamn thing. But these questions, common sense questions, do not require any no theoretical knowledge. So then these guys are stuck. They have never done logical thinking. So this is another reason why students fail SBL, and this can only be overcome through a lot of practice of common sense questions, extensive practice. Another interesting reason which has recently popped up is that students they do not understand the requirement correctly. Very, very big mistake. Of course, if you misunderstand the requirement, your entire answer will go wrong, right? And you will lose entire marks. So this is a mistake which we cannot afford at all. So how do we overcome this? You have to read the requirement carefully, at least two times, so that you exactly understand. You need to read the keywords in the requirements, because sometimes the requirements, the way they are drafted, it tries to confuse the students. It's a deliberate thing. So, but if you pick up the keywords and then just read the keywords together, the requirement becomes very simple, right? And again, this will get improved through extensive practice, right? So, I've covered most of these things in my previous discussions. And last thing is very interesting. I've also seen that some students, when they give two paper, one is SBL and one is any other paper. In that scenario, I have seen that 90% students they fail SBL when they give two paper. How many of you are planning to give two papers in December? Write me. Oh my God. Oh my God. Around 20 to 30 students. So, what is the reason why 90% students fail SBL when they give two paper? The reason is very interesting. So, it's not about your time allocation. I understand that some of you are full-time students, so you can give sufficient time to SBL plus sufficient time to the other paper. Another scenario is that you failed a paper before by 1 mark, so you're giving that paper plus SBL, whatever the scenario. The reason why students, 90% students, they fail SBL is it's not about the preparation. The main reason of failure is the exam techniques. The exam techniques of SBL is very, very, very different from your other ACCA paper. The thought process, the exam techniques, the paper approach is extremely different from the other paper. So when you are preparing two papers, subconsciously, students they mix up the techniques. And because of that, 90% student, they fail SBL, they get 45, 46, 47, 48. So those of you who are giving two papers in December, see whether it's possible to give SBL as a standalone paper. If not, I wish you all the best. Now you know the risk area and you can focus. So as I said, 90% students fail SBL, but there is 10% students who do pass when they give two papers. So as long as you are focused and conscious that you don't mix the exam techniques, you can take the risk. All right. Can you plan for December? There are some students who are just starting now. They have just decided to give SBL now for December. So it's very simple. It depends on how much time can you give to SBL. If you are giving one paper only, and you can give at least 4 to 5 hours daily from now onward, then you can plan for December. If you can give 4 to 5 hours daily, then yes, it is very much possible. We will adopt a smart study approach. We will focus on important things, doing all the past papers. If you can give 4 to 5 hours daily, you can prepare for SBL. Okay. All right, guys. So that was the brief introduction about SBL, how the paper looks like, why students fail SBL. Now, are you guys ready to solve a question? Hmm? You think so? No way. Zaman, I cannot take verbal questions. I have repeated in the start. I will only take written questions in the chat box. Okay. You guys are not ready as of now. Why? Because you need to be familiar with all the formats. There are so many formats which is tested in your exam. So we have to memorize all the formats. So the most frequently tested format is this one. Either a report, very commonly tested, or a briefing paper, or a briefing note, or a memo. So these four formats, 70% of the time, these four formats are required. What I've done is I have simplified the format. So if you memorize one format, if you memorize this format, it can take care of all these four. There is no difference, right? Just the heading will change. Rest everything will be same. So it's a very simple format: to, from, subject, date, introduction. Here you will write the introduction and then the closure, which is best regards and your role. And in between this, you will draft or insert your main answer. Is this clear, guys? The format is very straightforward. On the top, you will give the heading report or briefing note, whatever is required. And then to, from, subject, date, introduction, the closure, and then between this portion, you will draft your answer. Okay. Is there marks for the format? Absolutely yes. Every question has professional marks, right? And the format, the presentation, the tone of your drafting, all those things are part of the professional marks. So you will need to memorize this format. Now, a very common question is, do we need to give any conclusion or recommendation? What do you guys think? When we make a report or a briefing paper, should we give a concluding remark? No, not at all. We will not give any conclusion or recommendation unless the question specifically asks you to conclude or recommend. Is that clear, guys? If the question specifically says and conclude or and recommend, then of course you will have to give. But if the question is silent, then no need for any conclusion or recommendation. Another format is called section of a report. So sometimes the examiner will say draft a section of a report. A section of a report is not a full report, it's just a section or part of the report. All right. So when it says section of a report, again, it's very simple. On the top, you will give the heading section of a report. You will just mention the subject. You will give a brief introduction. You will give a closure. And the rest of the answer will be here. You will need to memorize this. Sometime the examiner will say, draft an email for the finance director. So then again, it's very simple. You on the top, you will write email, then to, from, subject, date, and then the opening sentence that this email talks about blah, 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 the closure, and then in between this, here you will draft your actual answer. Okay. Guys, again, I'm seeing unnecessary discussions amongst yourself on the chat box. Marina and all those guys who are replying to Marina, please, last warning. Do not flood my chat box because I then miss out on relevant questions by other students, right? Please do not chat amongst yourself. Now, this one is very interesting. Presentation slides. This one is tested quite frequently, almost in almost all the paper, not all, but almost 80% of the paper. In one of the tasks, you are supposed to prepare presentation slides. So, as I had said in the start, if the question says prepare presentation slide, then we will have to use the presentation slide option in the response tool. You see response options, may you see the slides. So for this particular question, you will click on slides and this will open up. Now for every slide, there are two boxes. I repeat, for every slide, there are two boxes. How many boxes, guys? Can you please type? For every slide, how many boxes are there? There are two boxes which you need to fill. So, for example, this one, it says slide number 1. Okay. And then if you scroll down, the second box is called slide number 1, speaker note. So the first box is the main box and the second box is the speaker notes. Sometimes it is called accompanying notes. So every slide has two boxes. One is the main slide, and just underneath the main slide, there is another box called speaker notes. Is this clear so far? Yes or no? Very good. Now, if I scroll down more, then I will see slide number 2. Again, for slide number 2, I will see two boxes. The main box followed by slide number 2, speaker notes. Every slide will have two boxes, the main slide box and followed by speaker notes box. Now, what are we supposed to write in the main box and what are we supposed to write in the speaker notes? So the main slide will just have the bullet points. How many of you have ever seen a real presentation in your lives? I'm sure most of you have seen a presentation in your life, in your college, in your university, in your office, in your somewhere you must have seen a presentation slide, right? So the purpose of the slide is the slide will just talk about bullet points, right? The slide will just have brief bullet points. The slide does not have lengthy stories or lengthy explanations. That's wrong. The purpose of a presentation slide is it will have brief bullet points on the slide. The same concept is here that on the main slide, let's say the topic is HR issues, just a hypothetical topic. So let's say the question says, prepare a presentation slide to discuss the various HR issues. So on the first slide, you will just write bullet points: high turnover, low staff morale, salaries not aligned with market. Only the bullet point. And where is the drafting or the explanation of these points? What do you think? So if here it is only the bullet points, then where is the actual drafting? What do you think, guys? The actual drafting of these points will be here under speaker notes. The speaker notes or the supporting notes, here you will elaborate on your point. So slide number 1 does not have any elaboration. It will just have brief bullet points or brief subheadings, and the explanation of those points will be under speaker notes. Now I have a question. Let me clean this. I have a question. Now, if I have mentioned 3 bullet points on the main slide, if I have mentioned 3 bullet points or 3 issues on the main slide, then how many paragraphs should I write under speaker notes? Obviously. So under speaker notes also, I will have 3 paragraphs. Why 3? So one paragraph for the first bullet, second paragraph for the second bullet, third paragraph for the third bullet. As simple as that. So the respective explanation of these points will be here. If there are 3 bullet points, I expect to see 3 paragraphs. If here there are 5 bullet points, I expect to see 5 paragraphs here. Okay. Now, another possible question student might ask is, do we need to give subheadings here? So when we are giving 3 paragraphs, Do we also need to repeat the headings here? Not necessary, okay, because it will take time. As long as your paragraphs are in the right sequence, examiner will know what you are talking about. Okay. Any questions on presentation slides? I'm going to the chat box. Monisha, I think I've answered this question. Okay. 3 points, three paragraphs. One paragraph for each point. Hamza, they are not correlated. They all have a separate statement of fact. So three separate points, three separate paragraph. Sagar, do we need to create introduction slide? Not at all. Not at all. You directly draft the slide. How do we know which exhibit is relevant? This will come through practice. How to increase font size and align in the middle? It's very simple. I would suggest you don't waste your time in formatting, but it's very simple. When you write something here, do you see this center alignment? You just center them, it will become center. If you want to increase the font size through paragraph, these are the various font size. But please do not waste your time on formatting. Is there a cap on how much we can write? There is no cap. It all depends on the marks. Okay, it all depends on the marks, how many points you are supposed to write. Yes, Sanam, obviously. What kind of stupid question is that? Muhammad Shariar, this is a hypothetical example. Okay, each point, each bullet will have a explanatory note. As simple as that. Don't overcomplicate things. All right, good. Then couple of times a letter format was also tested. Very, very rare, very, very less chances. But I think two times letter was also required, draft a letter. So this is a letter format, date, dear addressees, subject, introductory paragraph, heading, body of the answer, and then the closure. You need to memorize this, okay? Then one or two times a press release or a website release was also required. Very, very rare, very, very infrequent. But if a press release is required, on the top you will write this heading, then the subject, name of the chairman or the CEO, name of the company, and the date. This will be the opening sentence, and then the body of the answer, and then the closure. Okay, there's nothing technical here as long as you memorize these formats. Then there's something called business case. It's a very topic specific format. It is used in project management. So if the question says draft a business case, then a business case, you will give the heading business case, and then there are three broad headings: current situation, options, and selected option or recommendation. Okay, I think it was tested just once, but there are simple three headings here. Just follow this format. Then there is a project initiation document. Again, it is a very topic specific document. It is used in project management. So far, this format has never been tested, but you should be familiar. that a project initiation document includes what? It includes scope and objective, cost benefit analysis, project sponsor, project manager, and so forth. You need to memorize the contents of a project initiation document. Lastly, the last important thing is many times in all your paper, in all your paper, you will see a question which says identify the weakness and give recommendation. Every paper you see this question. The examiner will say discuss the weakness or identify the weakness and give recommendation how to address the weakness. You see this word and, so discuss or identify or discuss the weakness plus give recommendation. So when you get this type of a question, when you get this type of a question where you are supposed to identify or discuss the weakness first and then also give a recommendation, then I would prefer a tabular format. I would prefer a tabular format, a two-column format. On the left side, you will discuss the weakness, and on the right side, you will discuss or give your recommendation. Very professional format. On the left side, you would identify and discuss the weakness, and then opposite on the right side, you will give recommendation. Is this clear? Yes or no? Similarly, a very similar question is asked on risk as well. Sometimes the examiner will say, identify the risk and give recommendation. Same concept. So this, we will use a tabular format because it will make your drafting faster and simpler. On the left side, you will mention the risks here. You will describe the risk. And on the right side, you will give a recommendation. Then risk number 2, and then recommendation. Why I'm emphasizing on this is because this is a very frequently tested topic. Every paper you will get a question like this. Either identify the risk and give recommendation, or identify the weakness and give recommendation. So please use a tabular format to speed up your drafting. How can we make a table in the platform? It's very simple. Why do I get such stupid questions, by the way? Do you see this table? It's all there. Click here, you click on table, and then you select 2 columns and 6, 7 rows. And the table is here. Here you will write weakness, and here you will write recommendation, and then you start drafting. Clear? Mia, the impact is part of the weakness. When we discuss the weakness, it is impact. All right. So we are done with the various formats. The most important is report, briefing paper, briefing notes, and memo. That is tested 70% of the time. For that, we just have one single simple format. The second most tested is presentation slides. We discussed that in detail. And the third most common is weakness and recommendation or risk and recommendation. That's it. The rest of the formats are tested very, very rarely, but you have to be aware of it. Any questions on the format? Before I move to the next segment, any questions on the format? Yes, Urva? Correct. Yes, Ahmed, we will do. I cannot repeat stuff, my boy. There are 400 plus students here. You can watch the recording. I don't have the time uh, bandwidth to repeat stuff. I have explained it in a lot detail. The tone will always be the same, Urva. What's wrong with you? There's no change in the tone. Muhammad Rahmat, I will come to it. Give me few minutes. All right, so now you are all very familiar with the formats, especially report, presentation, and weakness recommendation. Now, are you guys ready for a question? Yes? I like your confidence. That's good. But unfortunately, you are still not ready. Unfortunately, still not ready because I have to first teach you all the professional skills. If you don't know the professional skills, how can you solve the paper, right? So these are all the prerequisites. So today I will teach you all the prerequisites before we attempt the paper. So the first prerequisite is the formats. The second prerequisite is professional skills. So do you know how many professional skills are there in SBL? How many professional skills are there in SBL? 5 professional skills. Very good. There are 5 professional skills. It is evaluation skill, analysis skill, communication skill, commercial acumen skill, and skepticism skill. There are 5 professional skills. And do you know the total professional skills marks in your paper? What is the total marks for professional skills? 20 marks. Very good. So professional skills carries 20 marks and there are 5 professional skills. So can you let me know what is marks? What is the marks per skill? Each skill is worth how many marks? 4 marks. Very nice. 20 marks divided by 5 skills. So each skill carries 4 marks. Very nice. Very smart. Can you guys tell me what is the total marks of SBL? Total marks of SBL. 100 marks. Your entire paper is worth 100 marks. Good. Now, can you guys tell me what percentage professional skill marks is? What percentage of your paper is professional skills? 20%. Wow. Now, do you understand the importance of professional skill? One fifth, one fifth of your paper represents professional skills. 20 marks out of 100 represents professional skills. So when students they ask me, Sir, which topic is most important? Which topic is most important? I tell them professional skills. Why? Because it carries 20 marks out of 100 and it is a guaranteed thing. Every paper you will get professional skills, right? So now, for me, so it's actually very easy to score good marks in professional skills. It's not difficult. So if you are able to score, let's say 15 marks out of 20, if you are able to score good marks in professional skills, don't you think it will give you a great start? So, for example, if you score 15 marks out of 20, so you just require 35 more marks out of 80 to pass the paper, right? Do you understand the maths? I repeat, so if you score 15 marks just from professional skills, so you just require 35 more marks out of 80 to just pass the paper. So I really want all my students to be master in professional skills. These are cash marks. These are cash marks. These are low hanging fruit. No theoretical knowledge, no model, no concept is required. As long as you understand what needs to be done, it's easy marks. All right. So someone is saying how to score 20 marks. So I wish it was possible to score 20 out of 20. It's not possible in SBL to score 20 out of 20 or 50 out of 50, or it's a theoretical paper. You are giving the paper under stressful environment. So never ever it's possible to score full marks in SBL. It's a very theoretical, subjective paper, right? But if you achieve 75%, that's supposed to be very good marks. Okay. Now, the good news is, as I said in the start, the professional skills is very, very easy. You actually don't have to write anything extra or do anything extra. If you just focus on the basics, you can easily score. So let me start with the first one, evaluation skill. So now I will explain to you in very layman language and from a very exam oriented thing. Okay, just unlearn, just forget what you have studied before from some other tutor or books or wherever. Just unlearn and just understand what I'm going to say right now. All right. So let's spend some time on evaluation skill. So the first thing is before I start, every question every question in your paper will specifically tell you which professional skill you need to demonstrate. Is that clear? Every question will tell you which professional skill you need to demonstrate. For example, if I open this task number 3, task number 3A, you see this bold one? This is the technical requirement. And then you see professional skills marks are available for demonstrating skepticism skill. So in task 3A, you need to focus on skepticism skill. And if you look at task 3B, this is the technical requirement. And then it says professional skills are available for demonstrating commercial acumen skill. So in task 3B, you need to focus on commercial acumen skill. So every task will actually, the examiner will tell you which particular skill you need to demonstrate. So doesn't that make it easy? Doesn't that make it easy? Because you exactly know that in this question, I need to demonstrate this particular skill. So it's very, very easy, correct? So now, evaluation skill simply means that when you are drafting your answer, you include both pros and cons. What did I write? Say, can you please type? You include both pros and cons. Please type pros and cons so that you remember. What is the meaning of both pros and cons? Meaning you will include both positive points and negative points. Pros and cons means positive and negative. Another way I can explain is favorable points and unfavorable points. Both. Is that clear? So whenever the question says demonstrate evaluation skill, all you need to do is to include both positive points and negative points, advantages and disadvantages, pros and cons, positives and negative. Both sides you have to discuss. Is this clear? Yes or no? I cannot explain it in more simple words. You have to include both sides of the discussion, the positive things and the negative things. Very, very simple. That's it. Normally, in your exam, evaluation skill is tested in a proposal question. What is a proposal question? A proposal question is a question where the examiner will give you a proposal. It's not a marriage proposal. It's a business proposal. Should we do this? Should we go for that? Should we take that contract? And you will be asked to evaluate the proposal. So obviously you will read the proposal. You will think of some benefits or advantages if we go for the proposal, and you will think of some negative points, the challenges, the risks if we take that proposals. So bottom line, whenever you have to demonstrate evaluation skill, you need to include both the positive points and the negative points. Done? Now, there are two small complications. My first question, supposing the question says demonstrate evaluation skill. Okay, wait. Let's do a couple of examples. Can you evaluate ACCA degree for me? Please evaluate ACCA qualification. So what are the plus point of ACCA? Start with the positive points. Give me 2 or 3 positive points, please. What are the pros of ACCA? It's global, it's professional, it is well recognized, it increases the job chances, right? Internationally accepted, good salaries. This is the positive side. What are the cons of ACCA? What are the challenges of ACCA? It's expensive, it's sometimes it's difficult. Yeah. There are some other qualifications like SEMA or CA competing stuff, low pass rate, interesting. Done. So you understand? When we evaluate something, we discuss both positive and negative. Clear? Now, supposing there is a question in your exam on demonstrate evaluation skill, and you are supposed to write 10 points. You are supposed to write 10 points. How many positives and how many negatives will you give? So if you're supposed to write 10 points, then how many positive points and how many negative points? So my paid students are already aware of this. So there is no hard and fast rule. It's not 5 and 5. That's very kiddish, right? That's not how things work in a real environment. It all depends on the availability of information in the exhibit, right? It all depends on the availability of information in the scenario. If the scenario has more positives and less negatives, that's fine because I have to link my answer with the scenarios, right? And if the scenario has more negative points and less positive points, that's also fine. So there is no hard and fast rule on the mix or balancing of pros and cons. Is that clear, guys? It all depends on the scenario because all our points has to be linked with the scenario. We will follow the scenario, right? Okay. One more thing. No, Komal. No, 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 no. Separate. One more thing. Sometimes the examiner says critically evaluate. So the word critically is there. It says critically evaluate. Critically comes from the word criticize. And criticize means finding faults, finding weaknesses, finding mistakes. So when the question says critically evaluate, then you have to focus more on negative points. Focus more on negative points when the question says critically evaluate. You have to give more negative points and limited or less positive points. Is that clear? Negative points should be more than positive points. 6, 4, or 7, 3, or 8, 2, doesn't matter. Done. We are done with evaluation skill. Very simple. Let me recap. Evaluation skills simply means that you include both positive points and negative points in your answer. There is no hard and fast rule of 50-50. It all depends on the availability of information. And if the question says critically evaluate, then you have to focus more on the negative points. The negative points should be more than the positive points. Ali Asgar is asking, should we do in a tabular format? No. Why tabular format? Not at all. Paragraph style. You can give headings like benefits and challenges or opportunities and risks, and then no tabular. Tabular we will only use for weakness and recommendation. Any questions on evaluation skill? Ask now. Yes, Sumaya, you have to cover both. Mahmood, your negative points should be more than positive points. Your negative points should be in majority. There is no hard and fast count. Again, it all depends on the scenario, but negative points should be more. All right. The second skill is called analysis skill. Again, very simple. Don't have to do anything extra. Analysis skills simply means you identify the root cause or the issue. You identify the issue or the reasons or the root cause. That's it. I repeat, analysis skills simply means that you discuss the issue or the reasons or the root cause. Why this is happening? Why? Why this happened? What is the reason? That why is analysis skills. Let us discuss couple of examples. Why do students fail SBL? Give me three reasons. Why students fail SBL? Here you go. Perfect. This is analysis. You are identifying the reasons or the issues or the root cause why students fail SBL. This is analysis skills. The reason. Another scenario. Supposing the revenue, the sales, or the turnover of the company declined by 30% this year. Okay. The turnover or the sales revenue of the company declined by 30%. What do you think the board will ask you as a CFO? When you will present to the board that our revenue for this year is lower than last year by 30%, what question the board will ask you? The board will ask you, what? Why? How come our revenue has fallen? What's the bloody reason? Can you think of three possible reasons why the revenue can go down? It can be internal, it can be external. I can think of 20 reasons, but just tell me three possible reasons. What can be the reason sales can fall? It can be poor quality, it can be poor marketing, it can be poor customer service, it can be bad economy, recession, competition, lack of demand, substitute product, in political situation, off season, outdated product, loss of reputation, 1001 reasons. This is analysis skills. I repeat, I summarize. Analysis skills simply means identifying the reason or the root cause of something. Does it always has to be negative or it can be positive as well? It can be both. For example, let me give a positive example. Customer satisfaction percentage drastically increased this year. Our customer satisfaction feedback percentage drastically improved this year. Why? How? What can be the possible reasons? Analysis skills. Very good. Analysis skills. So analysis means identifying the reason or the root cause. From where you will find out the reasons? From the scenario, from the exhibit. Absolutely. Everything will be provided there as long as you identify the reason, explain the reason and the impact. Everything will be there in the scenario, the exhibits and the pre-scene. All right. Any questions on analysis skills? Simple, hai? Easy. Don't overthink, don't overcomplicate. Okay. Third professional skill is communication skill. Do you think a good CFO should have good communication skills? Of course, right? It's very, very important that a good CFO is able to explain his point to the board in a language which the board understands. So again, in communication skill, it's very, very simple. First of all, a nice professional format. That's very important. So you remember all the formats we did few minutes back? So the way you present your answer, nice, proper format, that is part of communication skill. Of course, when you are submitting a report, the format has to be professional. And then you have to keep your role in mind. So the tone of your drafting depends on your role, right? What do I mean by that? So there are two possible type of roles. Either you are an employee of the company, that means you are insider, or you are an external consultant, which means you are an outsider. If you are an insider, then your drafting tone will be insider, like we, us, ours. You're talking like an insider, that this is my company. I'm an employee. And if you are an outsider, a third party like a consultant, then your drafting tone will be of a third party tone, like you, yours, because you are talking from an outside perspective. Is this clear, guys? It all depends on your role, whether you adopt insider tone or an outsider tone. It depends on your role. Now, your role will be given to you in the start. On the landing page, your role will be given. So, normally, then you will adopt the same tone throughout all the paper, the entire paper. Okay. Now, how do we decide whether our role is internal or external? How do we decide whether our role is internal or external? For example, in this scenario, which we just opened, let me see, where is the landing page? Where is our role? It says you are a senior business analyst working in Highlight. What do you think, guys? Senior business analyst in the finance department of Highlight Company. Internal? Definitely. If the question says you are the finance manager will be again internal. Yes. If it says you are the finance director, internal, definitely. Now, if the question says you are an external consultant, external, very good. Okay. Now, in one of the paper, it was mentioned that you are a non-executive director. A non-executive director would be internal or external? Internal, right. So guys, non-executive director, we will take it as internal. Okay. Why? Because even though he's non-executive, he's not our employee, he's independent, he's part of the board. He's part of the board. And board is always internal. Okay. So just remember, if your role is non-executive director, you will adopt internal tone. Clear? All right. So communication, you need to use the proper format. You need to keep your role in mind. Just use a professional tone, no slang language. Someone mentioned freaking out. Don't use words like freaking out, right? That's it. Any questions on communication skill? Right? There is actually no difference. That is why I'm saying nothing extra needs to be done. Jargon, what is jargon? Give me an example. Yes, Zaman. Susanna, please don't ask irrelevant questions. I will take these after the session. Mohammad Saeed, impact is part of everything in SBL. Yes, Viren, that's good. All right. Now, the fourth one is commercial acumen. This is a skill. So, okay, first let me see. What do you think it means? Commercial acumen means what? Do you have any idea? Can you guess? What is the meaning of commercial acumen? No, not business tone, business sense, business mind, knowledge of industry. Interesting. Business sense, industry sense. Okay. Entrepreneur mindset. All right, good. Very true. Very true. So, do you think a good CFO should have knowledge about the entire business? Yes or no? Obviously, a good CFO should have knowledge about the entire business. What's the logic? It's very simple. So, for example, in my company, I am responsible to prepare the annual budget. Annual budget is normally the responsibility of finance or the CFO. So I prepare the annual budget. The annual budget starts with sales revenue, right? Sales revenue. Who is the main person responsible for sales? What do you think? Is the CFO responsible for sales? No, the sales director. The sales director is the person responsible for sales. So, do you think I should have knowledge, enough knowledge to be able to discuss with the sales director what is quantity, what is the volume, what is the price, how the sales budget will move, promos, discounts? And I should have enough knowledge of sales to be able to challenge, to be able to discuss with the sales director. That's commercial acumen. And then in my company, there is cost of sales. A cost of sales, who's responsible for production? The production director or the operations director, right? So again, I should have some basic knowledge of the production process to be able to discuss the cost of sales numbers with the production director. And then in my company, the biggest cost is salaries. Who is responsible for salaries and staff? HR director, right? HR is the person who is responsible for staff, hiring, firing, salaries, bonuses, trainings. So, do you think I should have basic knowledge of HR to be able to discuss with the HR director the budgets and the future plans? Of course. And then we also spend a lot of money on marketing. Marketing is a big cost for us in our industry. So, who is the person who is responsible for marketing? The marketing director. So, then I should have some basic knowledge of marketing aspects to be able to discuss. And then we are also spending a lot of money on technology like websites and apps and all those things. So, IT director. So, you see the role of CFO is very, very central. Do you understand? The role of CFO is not that of an accountant. The role of CFO is very central to the business. He's supposed to be an all-rounder in all aspects because all the other departments ultimately has a financial impact on the P&L. And if I'm preparing the company's budget, I am doing financial analysis of the entire company. I have to have some basic knowledge of all the other departments and functions. So now you understand the meaning of commercial acumen that a good leader will have overall understanding of the business. I am an expert in finance, but I'm also supposed to be an all-rounder because all functions ultimately has a financial impact on the company, right? Of course, Zaman. Now, do you guys have commercial acumen? What do you think? Yes or no? All of you, all of you have commercial acumen. It's just that you don't know it. It's very simple in SBL. You remember a few minutes back, I asked a question why the revenue fell down. Remember that question? And I asked you why the revenue fell down, and you gave me reasons. Poor quality, poor marketing, tough competition, substitute product, economic. This is commercial acumen, guys. You are done. This is commercial acumen because you are now talking about non-finance things like poor quality, poor customer service, poor marketing. This is commercial acumen. What else? Let me ask one more question. Should we invest in technology online? Should we invest in online? Yes or no? Why? Why should we invest in online technology? Like websites, apps. Why? Global reach, younger generation. That's the trendy thing. This is commercial acumen. All what you are saying is commercial acumen. Are there any risks of technology? Are there any risks of technology? What? What risks? Data security, hacking, data privacy, data breach, fraud, cyber crimes, viruses. Baba, this is commercial acumen. So please, guys, don't underestimate yourself. As I said, all of you have this basic knowledge, and this is all what is needed in SBL. Clear, guys? Commercial acumen, whenever you talk about sales, marketing, whenever you talk about IT, whenever you talk about HR, this is all commercial acumen. And everything will be given in the scenario. So, as long as you stick with the scenario and discuss those points, it's you don't have to do anything extra, right? Any question, guys? Commercial acumen is clear. Nothing extra needs to be done. As long as you talk about the impact on the company, on sales, on production, quality, staff, technology, done. Yes, Chaita, they are all interlinked. They are all overlapping. That is why I'm saying it's very easy. All right. The last one is skepticism skills. This skill is little bit difficult. Little bit difficult. So the first four skills are very straightforward. Evaluation skill, pros and cons. Analysis skills, identifying the reasons. Communication skill, format and your role and your tone. The commercial acumen, you talk about impact on the overall business, like sales, employees, technology, markets. Very, very simple. Skepticism skill is slightly different. Skepticism comes from the word skeptical. Okay. Skepticism comes from the word skeptical. And what is the meaning of skeptical? Oh, come on, don't give me bookish answers. I know you have read in audit. Auditor has a skeptical mind, right? Skepticism skill means don't agree on anything unless you are satisfied, right? Don't agree. You should question, you should probe, you should question till you are satisfied. For example, the the IT. Okay, stop writing, please. Listen to my example to understand. IT director is suggesting that we should invest in online technology and apps. Okay. So I'm giving you a real example. Okay. So we were sitting in the board. I was sitting in the board, and IT director was saying that we should invest in online technology and apps and e-marketing. Does it make sense to you? Yes or no? Yeah, I think it makes sense. Online technology, apps, IT is the in things, right? So overall, it makes sense. But then, you know what the marketing director said? The marketing director said that no need. Marketing director said no need. We don't need any online technology, apps, or e-marketing. So then I questioned the marketing director. Oh, so then I questioned the IT guy. So first I asked him, why do you think we should invest in technology? I asked the IT guy because he was suggesting that we should invest in technology and apps. So I asked him why. So he said, apps are the latest thing. Everybody is using apps. There are benefits of using apps, right? Especially the younger generation. But the marketing director said, no, we should not invest in technology and apps. So then I asked him, what's your reason? So I'm not accepting unless I understand the logic, right? So I asked the marketing director, why you are saying we don't need it? You know what he said? He said that most of our customers are 50 years and above, and they don't use apps. So he told me that most of our customers are 50 and above. So they don't use apps. So Vashma is saying fair enough. Viren is saying makes sense. Faizan is saying nice logic. I disagree, guys. Do you guys really think that guys over 50 are not using apps? Yes or no? Oh, okay, let me rephrase the question. Do you think guys over 50 use apps? Yes or no? Do you think people over 50 use apps? Of course, yeah. Number one. So that's not true that saying that people over 50 don't use apps. Apps are used every day now. And then, secondly, most of our customers, which means that some of our customers are below 50. So the first logic, I'm basically pushing back. I'm saying, hang on. First of all, you are saying guys over 50 don't use app. I disagree. Some of them do. And then second pushback that all right, most of our customers are 50 plus. That means that some of our customers are is less than 50, right? What about them? You understand my pushback, my questioning tone, my third logic? And then I said, what about future customers? If we have apps, we will be able to attract more younger generation. No? And another pushback. I asked him very simple. Do the competitors have apps? Does the competitors offer apps? And he said yes. Then I said, don't you think if the competitors are having apps and we don't have apps, don't you think we might lose customers? And my last pushback. So you understand, this is the questioning tone. You don't accept any illogical argument. You can ask counter questions, and you ultimately you might agree, you might disagree. But you have to ask questions in order to understand fully. So you don't accept anything on face value. Do you understand skepticism? Yes or no? Are there any ladies here? Is there any lady here who is married? Please write me. Is there any married lady here? Okay, there are lots of married ladies. Bad news, guys. Aminata, Elaine, Monisha, Millicent, Marina. Marina, you're married. Oh my God. All right. Now, supposing lately your husband is sitting quite late in office. So he normally used to come by 6 or 7 in the evening, but now since last 3, 4 months, he's coming at 9 or 10 in the night. And recently also he started going to office on weekends. And you see a consistent pattern now. Would that ring any bell in your mind? Right? What kind of questions would you ask, or what kind of things would you look out for? Skepticism. My last example, I'm the CFO, right? I'm the CFO. Do I prepare financial statement? Do I prepare the P&L? Yes or no? I don't prepare P&L. Who the fuck is saying yes? Idiot. Sharyar. You think I'm the CFO, I'll be preparing the P&L? So who prepares the P&L? My team. My team will prepare the P&L. I have got 5 chartered accountants below me. In my team, there are 5 chartered accountants. One of them is responsible for preparing the monthly financials. So he comes to my table and he presents the financial statements to me. Okay. My job is to review it. Shall I accept the financial statements as it is, or shall I question him to check whether he has prepared it correctly or not? Of course, I cannot trust blindly on anyone, right? As a good CFO, I will review it in detail. I would ask some questions. I will ask for reasons just to make sure there is no mistake, just to make sure that he has done a proper, correct job. That's skepticism. So now coming back, what is skepticism? How do you demonstrate skepticism skills in your paper? There are 2 or 3 ways. You can use words like I disagree. So there will be some stupid comments given in your exhibit by some other directors. You can say I disagree. So when you say I disagree, it is skepticism. But of course, when you say I disagree, you have to give your own logic as well, right? You just simply say, you cannot say I disagree, full stop. No. If you are disagreeing with something, then you have to explain your logic, right? So when you use the word I disagree, that is a sign of skepticism. Another way is you can say it's incorrect or it's not clear. Something which is doubtful, something which is vague, you might say it's not clear, I don't understand. Or you can say should be further investigated. Or you can say it's not appropriate or adequate. Or you can ask a question. So there are so many ways you can demonstrate skepticism. Either you can disagree, you can ask a question, you can say that further details are required. This is not sufficient information for me to conclude. Something which you are pushing back like a CFO. Any questions on skepticism so far? Is it clear? Now, yes, Samat. Now listen very carefully, huh? This is something very important. Listen very carefully, please. Supposing the question requires 10 points as per the marks. Okay. Supposing the question requires 10 points or 10 paragraphs as per the marks. And the question says demonstrate skepticism skill. So, in how many points should we demonstrate skepticism skills? In all the 10 points or some of the points? All right. You don't have to demonstrate skepticism in all the points. You have to demonstrate skepticism in some of the points. Is this clear so far? Yes or no? Some of the points. It's not practically possible to disagree with all the points, right? So we have to disagree on some of the points. Now, how many points we have to disagree? So, can anybody tell me the marks for skepticism skill? 4 marks. So, for 4 marks, you have to disagree on 2 points. So, if there are 10 points, you will disagree on 2 points. Is that clear? The rest of the points will be normal. You don't have to show any skepticism, but at least in 2 points, maximum 3. That's it. That you have to push back or disagree or ask in a questioning tone. Not in all the points. 2 points maximum, 3 points. Is this clear? Yes, Ramnath. You cannot probe on each and every point. Sharyar, out of scope question. We are not discussing ethical points right now. Okay. Now, why did I say that skepticism skill is slightly different from the others? Remember, I said that in the first 4 skills, nothing needs to be done particularly. It's very simple. But in skepticism skill, you have to, it's slightly different. Why did I say that? The reason is that you have to change the tone of your drafting. Do you understand? So, the 2 points or 3 points in which we have to disagree, you have to consciously change the way you draft. You have to adopt a negative tone or a pushback tone or a disagree tone or a questioning tone. So in your exam, some students they forget to do that. So that is why skepticism, you have to be very focused that at least in 2 paragraphs, you have to change the tone of your drafting so that it looks like a questioning tone or a disagree tone. Is that clear? I see many students, they forget to change the tone. All right. So we are done with the 5 professional skills. Now, are you guys ready for a question solving? No, no, no. You're still not ready because the last thing is exam techniques. So there are 3 prerequisites: formats, professional skills, and exam techniques. So today, the last segment of today is exam techniques. But before I do exam techniques, let's take a small break so that we come back with a fresh mind. Okay. So, guys, let's have it's Hang on. Okay, I will give a 20-minute break. It is 8:20 here in Dubai to 8:20 to 8:40 p.m. Dubai. Okay. So guys, please be back by in 20 minutes because I will be starting exam technique, which is the most important segment for today. All right. See you guys in exactly 20 minutes from now. All right, guys, can we start? Okay, guys. Now we are at the last segment of tonight, and perhaps the most important one, exam techniques. The exam techniques is basically a make or break thing. No matter how hard you have studied, but if you don't apply proper exam techniques during your 3 hours, it would be very difficult to pass, right? So there are certain techniques I will discuss right now. So the first technique we will discuss is time management. One of the major reasons why students fail SBL is bad time management. Okay. It's very, very important to attempt the entire paper, 100 marks paper, if you want to pass SBL. If you attempt 80 marks or 85 marks because of lack of time, it is very difficult to pass SPL. So the first focus should be time management. So the total allowed time is 3 hours and 15 minutes. And what I suggest is that you spend the first 10 minutes in reading and planning, and the remaining time should be on drafting. Is this clear so far? Yes or no? First 10 minutes, go through the exhibit, go through the requirements. So now in the first 10 minutes, what are we supposed to do? When I say reading and planning, what are we supposed to do? The first thing we are supposed to do is read the information provided on the landing page. This one, let me show you. You see this landing page? This is the information that you need to read your role. Very, very important that what is your role? What are the 4 exhibits which have been given to you? So here it is fact sheet, newspaper article, extract of senior management briefing, announcement of proposed acquisition, board meeting minutes. So that's the first thing. You identify your role and you see what are the additional exhibits which has been provided to you. The second thing is very interesting. Do you think we should read all the tasks? Yes or no? Yes, before we start drafting, what are you saying? Who's this? Zen, my God. It is very, very important that before we start drafting, we should know what the requirements are. No? Why do we need to know the requirements? Because it's very simple. we should start with the easiest question first. So it is not mandatory to start or attempt or draft in the exact sequence of the tasks. It's not mandatory. You have to attempt all the tasks, right? There is no choice. But you can always start with an easy task and then do the difficult tasks in the end. How many of you want to start with a difficult task? Write me. How many of you want to start with a difficult task? Write me. No, I think Zan wants to start with a difficult task. Kirthana wants to start with a difficult task. Good. God help you, my boys. Never ever start with a difficult task. Never. It's a suicide strategy. Because if you start with a difficult task, one, you will struggle. Two, it will shatter your confidence for the remaining tasks. Three, you might overrun the allowed time because it's a difficult task, and which means that you will hijack the time of the easier questions. Very idiotic approach. Always grab the low hanging fruits. Yes. So it's very, very important to go through all the requirements just to see, out of curiosity, what are the tasks, which ones are easy, which one looks manageable, which one looks difficult. That's a very important thing in the planning. I'm actually shocked to see that few of you are saying that you want to start with a difficult task. Good luck. So, how do we? But the problem is, I'll show you. How do we read all the tasks? How do we read all the tasks? The problem is, task number one is appearing. So you can just read the bold portion, okay? So I will read these two. Come on, it's such a lousy system. So task one is saying that discuss the key factors which have enabled highlight to be successful. And then it says prepare a report which evaluate the proposal to acquire. Okay, task number one done. Then I have to close this. I have to go to the next task, next page. Then I will open task number two. Respond to the criticism. This is task number two. And then it says assess the role and of integrated reporting. Okay, task number two done. Then where is task number three? Again, I go to the next page. Task number three. I have to discuss the potential challenges of disruptive technology. And then task number 3B, potential outcome of the risks and give recommendation. Done. By the time I read task number 3, I will forget task number 1. Yes or no? By the time I will read task number 3, I will forget task number 1. I read task number 1, I will forget task number 2 because they are not on one page. They are all on separate pages. So I cannot remember all the tasks top of my hand. I cannot memorize the tasks, right? So what do we do? I always suggest that bring all the tasks on one page. That will ease up your life. Bring all tasks on one page. And then I will read them in one go. All the tasks will be in front of me on one page. Then I can prioritize. I can select which one to start. I can select which one to do in the last. Is that clear? But where, so task number one, let me go to task number one. Where do we copy it? If I open task number one, just copy this bold portion, okay? No need for anything else. Just triple click, click three times. One, two, three, and the entire paragraph will be selected. Control C. Control C means copy. Where do I copy it? No. Do not copy on the Word document. Don't use this document, okay? Because this document is for task number one. You will not be able to copy anything else. So do not use this word processor. Please use the scratch pad. Where is the scratch pad? Can you see the scratch? Here. There's a scratch pad on the top. Scratch pad means rough page. Open the scratch pad and just control V is copy paste. Okay. And then go to task number 1B, triple click 1, 2, 3, control C and paste. Now you go to task number 2, triple click, control C, open the scratch pad. I paste it here and then 2B, I paste it here. And then you go to task number 3, triple click, 3 and triple click, done. Now you can close all the tasks. What we have done is we have brought all the technical requirement on one page. Now you can read them. So this one is saying discuss the key factors which have enabled to be successful. Underline. Evaluate the proposal to acquire. Underline. This one, respond on the criticisms assessing the social and environmental impact. Underline. I'm just underlining the topics. Assess the role and benefits of integrated reporting. Underline. Potential challenges of disruptive technologies. Underline. And the sixth one is assess the risk and the recommendation. Underline. So it will take you 1 minute to just copy paste all the tasks on one page, but it will really simplify your life. You can look at the requirements in one go, and then you can actually cross reference with the exhibits. Okay, this exhibit is for this question, this exhibit. You can write the name of the exhibit in front of here, which will help you decide which task you want to start first. You don't have to read the exhibit. At this moment, we are just reading the technical requirements just to identify the topics and try to link it with the exhibit. Is it clear? So all this maximum it takes 7 minutes to read the landing page, to copy paste all the tasks, read the tasks, link with the exhibits, and decide the sequence of your answer. Maximum 7 to 8 minutes. So when we will be doing our practice classes from Tuesday, we will be applying this technique. All right. The whole objective of this 10-minute is to identify the easier questions so that we can attempt the easier question first and the most difficult questions in the last. And then once you have done this, we will follow 1.8 minutes per mark for drafting purposes. So keep this in mind. For drafting purposes, you have 1.8 minutes per mark. So for a 10 marks question, how many minutes should you allocate? For 10 marks, what is the allowed time? 18 minutes. For 20 marks, what is the allowed time? 36 minutes. Okay. So let's look at task number 1 or task number 3. Task number 3A. What is the total marks for task 3A, guys? Task 3A, what is the total marks? 14 technical marks and 4 professional. 14 plus 4, 18 marks. How much time is allowed for task 3A? 18 multiplied by 1.8, 32.4. Let's say 33 minutes. 32 or 33 minutes. Okay. Let's look at another question. Let's look at task number 1. Task number 1A. What is the total marks for 1A? 16 plus professional 4, 20 marks, 20 multiplied by 1.8, 36 minutes. So this means that task number 1A, when you will start to draft, you have to finish in 36 minutes. Is this clear so far? Time planning. Right. So now in 36 minutes, what are we supposed to do? There are many things you are supposed to do. You cannot just directly start drafting, right? So 36 minutes is the total time for task 1A, correct? Now, the first thing you will do is when you start drafting, you will read the whole requirement. You will need to read the entire requirement from start till end. So initially, we just copy pasted the technical requirement. We did not read the background. We did not read the professional skills. So the first thing, when you start drafting, the first thing is you will read the full requirement at least 2 times. You see, so every requirement has a background, then the technical requirement and the professional skills. Every requirement has 3 components: the background, the technical requirement, and professional skills. So you will read this. How much time do you think it will take you to read this task 1A 2 times? How much time approximately you think? 2 minutes? I think 2 minutes. No, no, no. 3 minutes is a lot, guys. You need to read fast. I think let's say 2 minutes it will take you to read the entire requirement. So 36 minutes was the allowed time. So 2 minutes will go in reading. Okay. Approximately, just to give you an idea. Then you will have to prepare the format. Is there a format required? Yes, it says prepare briefing notes for the finance director. So briefing notes is the format. So the second step is you will prepare the format, the entire format, briefing note, to, from, subject, date, introduction, and the closure. How much time it will take you to prepare the format approximately? I think 2 to 3 minutes. No, 1 minute is okay, 1 minute is good, but realistically speaking, it might take you 2 minutes. So can I say reading the requirement 2 times and preparing the format, total time 5 minutes is okay? Reading the requirement at least 2 times, the full requirement, and then preparing the template or the format, total 5 minutes. So allowed time is 36 minutes, 5 minutes gone. Correct? Now 31 minutes are left. The third step is you will need to read the relevant exhibit. We have not read the exhibit, right? So then let's say I just open, let's say this exhibit. You will need to read this exhibit. Oh, this one is a long exhibit. Okay, let's open a newspaper. This one is better. This one is also a long exhibit, but okay. So now you will read the exhibit and you will highlight some important points and you will copy paste those points on your answer sheet as statement of facts. How much time do you think it will take you to read the exhibit and identify the relevant points and then copy paste? 5 to 7 minutes? Let's say 7 minutes. Okay, it depends on the size of the exhibit. Some exhibits are small, half page, some exhibits are full page. Let's say 5 to 7 minutes. So then how much time is left now? 5 minutes earlier and then 5 minutes here, 10, around 12 minutes gone. है ना? Approximately 12 minutes are gone in reading the requirement, making the format, reading the exhibit. 12, 13 minutes are gone. So now how much time left? 36 minus 12, 24 minutes. Done. And now in this 24 minutes, you will elaborate on the points which you have picked up from the exhibit. You will write your own thoughts, the impact and all those things. Is this clear, guys? So it is challenging, right? If your reading speed is slow, if your drafting speed is slow, you will be in trouble. SBL is all about speed reading, speed drafting. This can only improve through more and more hands on practice. I would say at least 10 to 15 minutes will go, right? In reading the requirement, understanding the, making the format, reading the exhibit, 10 to 15 minutes will go. Fair point? Whatever question you pick, you will read the full requirement, you will make the format, you will read the exhibit, you will identify some points. 10 to 15 minutes will go. Correct? So whatever is remaining is the drafting time. So guys, you have to demonstrate speed from the start. You cannot be relaxed. You cannot, focus on quality and I want to read 3 times. I want to do this. You cannot. You don't have that much time. So very important that you develop your thinking speed, drafting speed, typing speed as we practice from next week. Okay. The last and the most important thing on time management. Stop drafting and move to the next question as soon as the drafting time is up. This is the most difficult thing to do. Did you understand that? So you have to stop drafting and move to the next question as soon as the allowed time is up. For example, this question number 1A, allowed time was 36 minutes. If your 36 minutes are up and still you have not completed your answer, what do you do? If the allowed time was 36 minutes and you have still not completed your drafting, what would you do? Everybody saying move on. But you know, guys, it is easier said than done. Under your exam situation, you will panic and you will overrun the time. It requires guts. It requires balls to leave the answer incomplete and move on. It requires a lots of guts and courage to leave the answer incomplete and move on. But always remember, a good CFO is always courageous and have guts. Do not fall in the time trap. Do not fall in the time trap. What is a time trap? Time trap simply means that once the allowed time is up, you are still continuing, the answer in order to complete and you overrun the time. This is called time trap. So for 36 minutes, you actually spent 45 minutes, but you completed it, right? So instead of moving on, you continued and you completed task number 1, but instead of 36 minutes, you took 45 minutes. This is called time trap. So 9 minutes overrun, not a big deal. But wait, next question, another 9 minutes overrun. Next question, another 9 minutes overrun. So every question, if you start spending 5 to 10 minutes extra, by the time you reach the end, you will not have time to complete the last question. Do you understand? It's a compounding effect. Never, ever, never, ever overspend the time. Never, ever overspend the time. Even if your answer is incomplete, move on to the next question. If question number two is incomplete, doesn't matter. Move on to the next question. Do not fall in the time trap. Do not hijack the time of the next question. Is that clear? It requires guts. You have to attempt 100 marks paper. It's mandatory. If you fall in the time trap, you will attempt 80 marks because you will not have time to complete the last question because you overspend 10 minutes on each question in the start, right? You have to attempt 100%. It doesn't matter if all your questions are incomplete, doesn't matter. Keep moving, keep moving. Is that clear, guys? Now, there will always be a question, there will always be a question in your paper which you will not be able to manage. Okay, there is always one question in your paper which is, I call it a bouncer question. What is a bouncer question? Can you guess? A bouncer question, if you know something about cricket, a bouncer question is something which goes above your head. You just leave it. So in every paper, there is a bouncer question which you will have no clue how to draft. So then we can save some time from the bouncer question and we can always come back and complete our other answers. We can always come back and add one more point, but not in the start, in the end. Is this clear? So I will discuss bouncer question in more detail after a few minutes. But right now, the important thing of time management, let me recap time management. The paper is 3 hours and 15 minutes. First 7 to 10 minutes, you will just read all the requirements, copy paste them, read them, and select easier question first. And then you will follow 1.8 minutes per mark for drafting. And as soon as the allowed time is up, you will leave the question incomplete and you will move to the next question. Any questions on time management? Ask now. I will repeat, it takes a lot of gut, a lot of courage, but you have to do it. The more you will practice, the more easier you will get. Is the scratch pad checked by the examiner? No. How do we know which exhibit to read? I will teach you that technique in my live class. This paper which I'm showing to you is on old format, but in your later formats, it's very easy to identify the exhibits. Normally, it's not multiple exhibits. In your later papers, it is one is to one exhibit. 90% of the time, it's one is to one exhibit, which makes your life easier. Okay. Now, let's move on to the linking thing. The second is linking. It's very, very important to link your answers with the scenario, right? You need to follow this thing. 80 to 90%, 80 to 90% of your answers will be picked up from the exhibit. Is that clear? And you will see as we will solve our papers going forward, it's very much doable that bulk of your answer, 80 to 90% of the answers are in the exhibit. Only 10 to 20% you might need to use the pre-scene. Majority of the time, all the answers, all the points are available in the exhibit. Majority of the times. So when do we use the pre-scene then? Supposing there is no exhibit. Supposing that for a particular task, there is no exhibit. Then what do we do? If there is no exhibit, then where do we pick the points from? Yes. So if there is no exhibit, then of course we will use our pre-seen knowledge to draft our answer. And sometimes there is an exhibit. Sometimes there is an exhibit available, but the exhibit is very short. It does not have sufficient number of points. So in that case, we will first use the exhibit, but because there is only few points there, then you will use pre-seen to add more points. The first primary document is exhibit. If you are not able to find the required number of points from the exhibit, if there is a shortfall, then you will use pre-seen to fill up the gap. That is why I'm saying 80 to 90% we will use exhibit, and in some cases we will use pre-seen, especially in case if the exhibit is not there or if the exhibit is very short and does not have sufficient points, then we will use pre-seen. Is this clear, guys? Now, pre-seen, we will be fully aware of the pre-seen, right? So you will know what information is available where in the pre-scene. So you can just open the pre-scene and pick the information. You don't have to read the entire pre-scene, idiots. Pre-scene has been published 2 weeks before. So we will be very much aware of the entire pre-scene. So you exactly know. Sorry, guys. Where to look for the information, right? Okay. Now, third aspect is deciding the number of points. Very, very important. The number of points depends on the marks. The more the marks, the more you have to write. Less marks, less number of points. More marks, more number of points. So the rule of thumb is one well-drafted point carries 2 marks. Remember this, huh? Remember this rule that a one well-drafted point is worth 2 marks. Okay. So if it is a 10 marks question, how many points or how many paragraphs are required? Straightforward 5. 10 divided by 2, 5 points. So I would expect to see 5 points or 5 paragraphs because each point is a separate paragraph. So 5 points means 5 paragraphs. Now listen carefully. If you are not able to find 5 points, then at least 4 points. 5 minus 1. Minus 1 is the formula. Ideally 5 points. But if you are not able to find 5 points, then at least 4 points. Okay. Another scenario. How many points are required for 20 marks? If the question is 20 marks, how many paragraphs or points? 20 divided by 2, 10 points. And if you are not able to identify 10 points, then minimum how many points? 9 points, 10 minus 1. Done. Another scenario. If the question is worth 15 marks, then how many points? 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So 7 to 8. 7.5 cannot be possible. So 7 or 8 points. 7 or 8. And if you are not able to identify 7 points, then at least how much? At least 6 points for 15 marks. Ideally 7 or 8, depending on the information and also depending on the time availability, right? We are under strict time conditions. Now let's look at this scenario. Task number 1A. What is the total marks for task 1A? Total marks is 20. How many points you are expected to give in task 1A? So for 1A, I would see, I want to give 10 points, right? And if not, 10 is not possible because of time, at least 9 points. Let me look at task number 2. Okay, task number 2A. How much marks is task number 2A? 10 plus 4, 14. How many points for 14 marks? 7. If not 7, then at least 6 points. Very good. Look at task number 2B. Task number 2B, what is the total marks for 2B? So 2B doesn't have any professional marks, only technical. So 12 marks, which means how many points? 6 points. Minimum, how many? Minimum, 5 points. And then let me look at task number 3. 3A is 14 plus 4, 18, which means 9 points and minimum 8 points. And 3B is 12 plus 4, 16. 16 divided by 2, ideally 8 points, at least 7 points. Is the calculations clear now? The more you will practice, it will become very, very easy for you. Done. One point is one paragraph, okay? Now, what should be the size of your point? Somebody asked me what should be the length or size of the point? How many lines are we supposed to write? Ideal size is 3 lines, 2.5 to 3 lines. 2 will be short, 3 is ideal. Is that clear? 2.5, 3 and lines paragraph is more than enough. If you write short, yes, 2 3 lines, including the statement of fact. Is that clear? So your first sentence will be from the exhibit, right? We will copy the statement of fact, including that sentence, total 3 lines. If you write less than 3 lines, it will be too short. And if you write more than 3 lines, it will consume extra time and you will not be able to complete within the allowed time. Samad, that is about too much copy pasting. Students, they copy the entire paragraph. I would suggest you stop reading examiners' comments. All right, clear? Now something interesting. Exception. You remember I mentioned in the start that every paper has a question on identify weakness and give recommendation. You remember that every paper has a question on identifying risk and recommend. We make a tabular format, right? Correct. So when the question says identify weakness and give recommendation. So in this type of a question, 2 marks for the weakness and 2 marks for recommendation. Is that clear? Because these are two separate paragraphs. Once when we identify the weakness, we talk about the impact, that is 1 point, 1 paragraph. And when we give a recommendation, that is another point, another paragraph. So supposing, now listen very carefully. Supposing the question is worth 16 marks. Question is worth 16 marks. So how many points are required for 16 marks? 16 divided by 2, right? No, 16 divided by 2, 8 points, right? But if the question says identify the weakness and give recommendation. So how many weakness, how many recommendation? So you will identify 4 weaknesses and will give 4 recommendation. 4 plus 4, total 8 paragraphs. Is that clear? So there are two ways of calculating. There are two possible ways of calculating. It's both the same thing, but there are two. So some students, they prefer calculating the total points, and it's 16 marks divided by 2. We require 8 points, 8 paragraphs, half weakness, half recommendation. So 4 weakness, 4 recommendation. That's one technique. The other technique is you directly divide 16 by 4. If you divide 16 by 4, that means 4 weakness along with recommendation, 4 plus 4. Whatever is easy for you. The result is the same. Same will apply. Yes, Michelle, absolutely. Same will apply on identifying risk and giving recommendation. Whenever there are two things required, you allocate, you split the marks, or you divide by 4. Yes, Hassan. Separate points means separate paragraphs. Okay? I don't want stupid comments. Up your game, please. You need to be smart. Separate points means separate paragraphs. One paragraph for weakness, one paragraph for recommendation. That is why it's 2 plus 2, 4 marks. Clear? Another complication. Sometimes the examiner gives you weaknesses. So there are two types of questions on weakness. One is the examiner will ask you to identify the weakness. So we can calculate how many weakness we are supposed to identify. Clear? I repeat, this is very important. Please, I need all your attention. There are two types of questions on weaknesses. Sometimes the examiner will tell you identify the weakness, which means that you have to read the exhibit and identify on your own what are the weaknesses. How do you calculate how many weaknesses? You just divide by 2 or divide by 4 and you calculate. Is this clear? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. Another type of question is the examiner will give you the weakness. You don't have to identify. The examiner gives you the weakness that these are the two weaknesses or three weaknesses. Please discuss the impact and give recommendation. For example, in one of the past papers, the examiner gave you two weaknesses. The examiner mentioned two weaknesses and he said, discuss the weakness and give recommendation. And the marks was 16. Do you understand? Let me repeat. The examiner gave you two weaknesses. So you don't have to identify. The weakness was already given that these are the two weaknesses, 1 and 2. And he said, discuss the weakness, discuss the impact, and give recommendation. Total marks 16. Now what to do? So first you will calculate marks per weakness. When the weakness is already given to you, two weaknesses has been given to you in the exhibit. Marks is 16. So you will calculate marks per weakness. So 16 marks divided by two weaknesses. So 8 marks per weakness. Correct? Yes or no? 8 marks per weakness. So how many paragraphs you require for 8 marks? 4 paragraphs. For 8 marks, you require 4 paragraphs, right? 2 marks each. So then you will give 2 impact and 2 recommendations for one weakness. And then again, for the second weakness, 2 impact and 2 recommendations. So the bottom line story is Bottom line story is if the weaknesses are already given to you, then you first calculate marks per weakness and then you allocate the paragraphs according to the marks, which means that you have to write more, elaborate more. Yeah, in the same tabular format. That's not a problem. It's about number of paragraphs. Is this clear? We will do a lot of practice, so you will see both the scenarios. Similarly, same happens on number of slides. Same happens on number of slides as well. So you remember the examiner will tell you prepare 2 presentation slides. The examiner will tell you exactly how many slides are required. Okay. You cannot make unlimited slides. So normally the examiner says prepare 2 presentation slides. And even on the CBE platform, on the template, you will see only 2 slides. So the question is, the requirement is prepare 2 presentation slides. Marks is 16. So what do we do? Total marks is 16, 2 slides required. So first you will calculate marks per slide. So total marks is 16. 2 slides are required. So 16 divided by 2, which means 8 marks per slide. 8 marks per slide. Which means how many points per slide? If the slide is 8 marks, then we require 4 points on the slide. If you are not able to give 4 points, then minimum how many points on the slide? -1, 4 minus 1, 3 slide. Is this clear, guys? Yes, Samad. Good. So this is a very important technique, number of points. So the rule of thumb is each point carries 2 marks. So you just divide the total marks by 2 to calculate the number of points. But sometimes if the slides are given or the weaknesses are already given to you, then you first calculate marks per slide and then you calculate number of points per slide. Any question, guys? All this will improve through extensive practice, guys, which we will be starting from Tuesday. We will be applying all these things on the past papers. All right, let's move on. Good. Guys, I cannot take verbal questions, so please don't raise your hand. If you have a question, you need to type. Format of your answer, very, very simple. I've discussed this. So each point is considered as, sorry, one paragraph is 1 point, correct? Each paragraph should start with a statement of fact. That's the most important thing. And the total size of your point, the length of your point should be 3 lines, including the statement of fact. Clear? Now, please leave 1 line between each point. What did I say? Please leave one blank line between each point so that the examiner can clearly see the number of paragraphs. Try to leave 1 line between each point. It will present nicely. It will not look hodgepodge. It will be very professionally presented, and the examiner can easily count the number of paragraphs. So please leave one blank line between each paragraph. How do you leave one blank line? Do you know? How do you leave one blank line? Just press the enter button 2 times. So simple, right? Just press the enter button. Instead of 1 time, you press it 2 times. It will leave one line blank. Also, try to give subheadings for each point if possible. So for each point, I prefer to give a subheading for each point or each para. Um, because number one, that's the professional way of doing it. And number two, it will help the examiner know by reading your subheading what you are going to talk about. Done. Now the important thing is common sense questions. Common sense questions. First of all, I would like to remind you that more than 50% of your SBL paper is based on common sense. So you cannot screw up in common sense. In fact, you have to be very good in common sense questions. What is a common sense question? That no theoretical knowledge is required. No bookish knowledge is required. You have to think logically, reading the information available in the exhibit. You have to think logically. What are the most common types of common sense question? Guys, can you please stop asking irrelevant questions because I cannot answer something which is not in line with the slide, all right? How many times I have to say that? So, for example, in every paper, you will get a proposal. Every paper, you will get a question on evaluate a proposal. So, a business proposal will be given and you have to evaluate it. So, you have to identify the pros and the cons. So now it does not require any bookish knowledge. You have to read the proposal, think about the positive things, think about the negative things, and draft it. Similarly, the examiner might ask you to give some recommendations for a weakness or a risk you have to recommend. Again, it is not a bookish question. You have to read the risk and give a logical recommendation. So more than 50% questions are common sense. So what is the main technique? What is the main technique of handling a common sense question? This one. Pause for 30 seconds before you start typing. So when you have read the exhibit, don't immediately start typing. Pause for 30 seconds and think. Think like a CFO, think like a business leader. What are the benefits? What can be the challenges? Gather your points mentally first. And then after 30 seconds, start typing. Believe me, if you take a pause and first think strategically and then you start typing, your answer quality will be much superior. Is that clear, guys? This is the simple technique of handling common sense questions, because common sense questions requires logical thinking. So once you have read the exhibit, don't start typing immediately. Stay back, think for 30 seconds. If you were the CFO, what points would you bring to the board? And then you start typing. All right. The last thing of today is called bouncer question. So I already discussed what is a bouncer question. So every paper has a bouncer question. What is a bouncer question? It is a question which does not make any sense. There is no exhibit, or it is a topic which is completely out of our mind. Simply, bouncer question is a question which you will not be able to handle because there is no exhibit. Mainly, there is no exhibit, right? It is a very out of blue, out of context question. Every paper has it. Sometimes it is worth 10 marks, sometimes it is worth 15 marks, sometimes it is worth 20 marks. Depends on the luck. But the first hint or sign of a bouncer question is there will be no exhibit. If there is no exhibit, of course, then we will struggle, right? Because if the exhibit is there, we can pick up points. But if there is no exhibit, or even if the exhibit is there, there is no relevant information in that exhibit, then you are stuck. Then we will have to use the pre-seen and our common sense, logical sense. So, bouncer question, the first thing we will do, the first strategy is attempt this question in the last. Is that clear, guys? Attempt bouncer question in the last. Theoretical knowledge, 0 marks. There is no marks for theoretical knowledge. How many times I've said that? Zaman, I'm really worried about you because you're asking very stupid questions again and again. So the first thing is bouncer question should be attempted in the last. How do we know it's a bouncer question, guys? When do we decide? When do we decide that we will do this in the last? Then, when do we decide that this we will do in the last? At the time of initial planning. Remember the first 10 minutes when we are reading all the requirements, we are mapping with the exhibits. At that time, you will know that this question doesn't have any exhibit. So you will do it in the last. Is that clear, guys? That is why the first 10 minutes of planning is most important. We will start with the easier question first, then we will move to not easy, not difficult, and in the last, we will come to the bouncer question. Supposing question number 1A is a bouncer question, what do we do? The first task, 1A, is a bouncer question. What will we do? Yes, we will do it in the last. It doesn't matter. Even though it is the first task, 1A, we will do it in the last. Some students, they always start with 1A. And most of the time, 1A is a bouncer question. Not all the time, but 50-60% of the time, and you are screwed. So the first 10 minutes of planning is the most important thing. Samad, very idiotic question. Very idiotic question. I'm saying always start with the easier question first. Even though if it is 3B, I will start with 3B if it is the easiest one. God help you, my boy. God help you. I don't know why you guys are not picking up. I cannot explain in more simple words. Now, another important thing in bouncer, the first important thing is we will do in the last. Second important thing is we will try to use pre-seen and our overall knowledge to write 1 or 2 or 3 points just to fill up space. But the most important thing is, should we consume the entire allowed time? Let's say the bouncer question is, let's take an example. Let's say the bouncer question is worth 15 marks. Okay. For 15 marks, what is the allowed time? For 15 marks, what is the allowed time? 27 minutes. Okay. Do not utilize the full 27 minutes. Do not, never. Because it's a waste of time. There is no exhibit. You are just shooting in the dark. You are just trying to write 2 or 3 points, but wrap it up in 15 minutes. Save 10-15 minutes. Save 10-15 minutes. So, what do we do? So, if you don't utilize the full time, let's say you utilize half the time, so you will have 10-15 minutes extra. What do you do in that time then? We will go back to the easier questions. We will try to complete. Remember, we are leaving all the questions incomplete because if the allowed time is up, we are moving to the next question. So now you can go back and add one more point in each of the easier tasks. So you can compensate there. Is that clear, guys? Yes or no? One last thing. There are two there are two particular topics which I always do in the last. There are two topics which you should always do in the last. Okay. Never start with those topics. Even though if there is an exhibit, do it in the last. One is called culture. Please type culture. If you get a question on culture, even though if there is an exhibit, try to do it in the last. Do not do it because culture is a very slippery, very subjective topic. It might consume a lot of time. So do it towards the last, maybe second last. The second topic is change management. Please write change management. So these two topics, both of them are starting with C. You can memorize. Both of them are starting with C. Culture and change management. If you get a question on these two topics, try to push it towards the last, either last or second last. Okay. So difficult questions, culture and change management are always difficult questions because the topic is very subjective. And so culture, change management, and a bouncer question. Sometimes these are the bouncer questions. Sometimes there is another bouncer question. Do them in the last 1 hour, okay? And try to save some time so that you can go back and add more points in the easier question. Guys, these strategies, again, I would say, are easier said than done. Right now, all of you are saying, nodding your head and saying, yes, yes, we will do. But it requires presence of mind, it requires courage and balls to, to actually implement it during the exam conditions. But trust me, all my global prize winners have followed it. This is the key to success. And we will be applying all this from Tuesday onward. All right, done. So, guys, now most of you are aware our revision drafting classes will be starting from 4th of November, okay, which is a Tuesday. We will be doing 7 to 8 full pass papers, including 4 mocks. All classes will be recorded for later viewing. And we will also be doing pre-scene discussion. Those of you who are already enrolled in my regular batch, resit batch, or revision batch, that's fine. Those of you who have not yet enrolled, I would strongly suggest, my sincere suggestion, that you must consider enrolling in the revision batch if you are planning self-study, because SBL is all about structured drafting, guidance, and practice. This is the timetable. This is what I want to share. This is the timetable of the. So the thing is, we will be doing one case study over 2 days. Okay. So you will see. So on 4th of November, we will be doing Yex Marine. And then on 5th of November, we will be doing Yex Marine. So one case study, one past paper, we will be spending 2 days so that you can understand, you can draft, discuss, common sense, all those things. Then there's a 1 day gap. And then on Friday and Saturday, we will do another case study. And again, 1 day gap. Then 10 and 11, we will do another case study. And again, 1 day gap. Then we will do mock 1, which is Corjet. 1 day gap, mock 2, 1 day gap, mock 3, 1 day gap, mock 4. And then we will be doing 2 days on pre-scene on 25th and 26th. And then one extra class on some important topics, and then the grand revision. The important thing is that classes are almost every day, 2 days on, 1 day rest, 2 days on, 1 day rest, and the timing is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Dubai time. Okay, which is 7 p.m. Pakistan time, 8 p.m. India, 7:30 p.m. India time. But for my European and African friends, it might be a little bit earlier, right? But all classes will be recorded and available the next day. Okay, so this is the timetable. All of you can plan according to this. And that's it for tonight, guys. Tomorrow we will continue with technical articles. We will draft one question tomorrow, and then I will share the study plan for the 3 weeks. All right. So now, if you have any questions, you can ask now before I sign off. Yes, Zainab. Susanna is saying, do we have to delete the copy pasted question requirements from the Word? So, Susanna, my friend, we are not copy pasting the requirements on the Word tool. We are copy pasting on the scratch pad. All right. And you can leave it there. What do we do on a daily basis? Right. So, guys, daily basis, I will keep you busy every day. So for revision classes, you must revise the top 25 important topics. And today's session, number of point, exam techniques, professional skills, and formats. These are the two prerequisites for the revision classes, top 25 topics revision and today's session. That's it. Abdul Wase, it's for that question and overall as well. Where is the list of impact? I will share on the portal. Is there any syllabus change? No. Do we solve any past papers at our own? Very interesting question, Faizan. Faizan is asking, shall we solve any past papers on your own? If you are enrolled with me, then no. Not at this stage. Once we do at least 4 or 5 past papers, then I will guide you. If you are self-study, then you are on your own. I will share the PDF today. Today not possible, but I will share it maybe tomorrow after the session. I'm skipping questions which I have already answered. Yes, one mock will be marked and 3 mocks will be discussed. All right, guys. So I guess we are done for tonight. Hmm? Very, very important. Um, I can share the PDF today in my WhatsApp groups. I will share it so that you can revise it. But guys, I will see you tomorrow. Very, very important. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., same time, Dubai. All right. And I will share the PDF right now so that you can revise the things, start memorizing things. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. to complete this webinar. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Take care and good night. Yes, Aknoor, yes. I said it so many times. All right, guys. Bye.